You want to get high, man?
That stimulates your mind.
Get up, Chucky! What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
Rogin Kim.
Hola amigos, eso es el Rogin Kimcast con mi Rogin Kim. Buenas noches or días. Hello, hi guys. It's Monday. It's Sunday, but it's Monday. It's MLK Day. Are you guys having a good time? Are you guys having a good day? Are you guys having a tay like Taylor Swift? I'm having a good tay. Shake it off. Look what you made me do. All that stuff. Look what you made me do. What a fucking take some responsibility, Taylor. Look what you made me do. You're like a grown woman. You're a grown woman. Take some responsibility for your goddamn actions. Jesus, people aren't making you do things. People don't make you do things. This is exactly the kind of victim culture that I feel is problematic with our society nowadays, with everybody blaming and pointing the finger at everybody. Hello, and welcome to the Rogin Kimcast. It's me, Rogin Kim. I hope everything's going great. Am I just going in circles? Let's just do this for 20 minutes. Let me ask you how you're doing. Go on a rant and ask you how you're doing again. Hi. I'm still sober, guys. It's still sober Januober. It's still, and it can't be over fast enough. That's what I say. I'm having vivid dreams, guys. So vivid, more vivid than Vivid Entertainment's adult movies, like One Night in Paris or the Kim Kardashian tape. Like, it's just, I'm having dreams. I had a dream I was driving a cube truck, and somehow I found a joint, and I was like so happy I found this joint. Smoked a joint, and then I ended up getting into a fender bender, but so I guess somehow I ended up flipping the truck, but it was like not a big accident. And then I ended up kind of fucking up a gypsy caravan. I think gypsy is not the preferred nomenclature. Romani? I don't know. They were just, it was really green, luscious hills, caravans associated with gypsies, Romanis, whatever, and then it was a minor accident. We sat down to work out the details of how to move forward with the insurance claim. I don't know, but basically I told Rami about this dream, and she said, oh, that's just like, you just want to smoke weed, you just saw Peaky Blinders, and you got into that car accident. So there you go. That must have been, that's it. My dreams are so unimaginative. I thought there would be some kind of deeper meaning to the dream I had. Like, oh, maybe weed is creating this topsy-turvy environment. It's creating this accident. But no, it makes sense. Those are just the things going on in my head, and my brain's just working on that. And then made me realize, is that just how mundane my dreams? Is this what I'm missing out on? Just the processing of mundane things in my head turning into random stories? And that's, when I was smoking a lot of weed a couple of weeks ago, it was very hard to remember my dreams. I was sure I dreamt, but I just didn't remember them. It's kind of like life. I'm pretty sure I'm living, but sometimes I'm just not sure I quite remember what's going on. And, it really does have an effect. A massive amount of THC ingestion I've had over the years. On the other hand, I attribute my lack of glaucoma to the massive amount of THC that I've ingested over the years. I have glaucoma is genetic. My dad definitely has it and runs in the family. I've been tested for high ocular pressure. And over time, I took many, many tests because that's what you got to do. Establish a baseline to see if it's getting worse. And the doctor was like, well, pressure's high, but it's inconclusive. Sometimes it goes under, sometimes it goes over. It could be genetic. That could just be your baseline level of eye pressure. Maybe you just have really high pressure eyes. Asians, he said, in general. I don't know if he was being racist. That's not racist. That's not to say that, is it because my eyes are small that there's so much pressure? But you know what? My eyes aren't small, all right? Not a decent size for an Asian, if I must say so myself. I'm, of course, talking about my eyes. And, but, I ran an experiment. I would get high and go take these tests, these ocular pressure tests, and I noticed that when I got high, the pressure was lower. So I do attribute my lack of being blind or going blind at the very moment to the massive amount of THC I've ingested over the years. Through the years. A lot. I mean, since 96. 96, August 96, I would put that as the starting point of when I just smoked every day. That's, of course, when I went out to college. And in college, UC Berkeley, the finest marijuana available in the mid-90s, I believe, up until December 31st, 2017, I was on a pretty good run. But now it's day 14. Day 14, 2 weeks off. Having dreams now. My memory's good. I'm not having like anger issues, but I get angrier quicker. I care about more things, I think. Things I would maybe normally not care about, including bathing myself, or like, not personal hygiene, but like just little things, cleaning the floors, cleaning things. When I see a spill, I'd be like, I'd spill things, a little thing, and I'll be like, the dog will get it or whatever, But now I'm like, I better go get that. I seem to care about more things. So maybe that's good. Approaching my 40th year of life, I'm caring about things, so that's probably a good thing, right? I think like the midpoint of one's life is a good time to maybe just start picking up after oneself. Isn't that something that I should have learned to do, perhaps by social modeling by my parents? Well, thing is, they weren't really around, so I'm basically like a fucking jungle boy, or like a wolves raised by wolves, but there were no wolves. It's like raised by nobody. A lot of television, society at large. Los Angeles, that's where I grew up. It's not the best guardian, or not the best instiller of habits. But here I am. I'm still here. I'm not dead. Huh? I didn't kill myself. I could have. I was very close. 20 years ago or so, could have. 20 years later, still here. Don't want to do it. Don't want to kill myself. I think that's a success. I haven't killed anybody, right, that I know of. I don't wish to harm anyone. Like, that doesn't give me pleasure. I feel like I have empathy for other human beings. At least that's exactly what a sociopath would say. So in any case, I'm doing okay. Highly functioning sociopath or regularly functioning empath. I don't know. But enough about me. Let's talk about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King. I mean, who can deny the greatness of Martin Luther King Jr., right? I mean, because of him, we have come so far in our relations or civil rights, the way we relate to each other as human beings, the vision of humanity as unified, the vision of America as a place of unity, as a place to continually move forward and to actually live up to our creed. Like he said, he made us feel terrible about how shitty we were treating people. Until he started talking about the war, until he started talking about the Vietnam War, and talking about how the evils of capitalism and the connection between capitalism and the military-industrial complex, and then things got a little dicey. People started, that, I don't know. I'm not saying that's why he was killed. I'm not saying that. I mean, many people wanted to kill him for many reasons, but I do know that that's what freaked out. Well, how do I know that? But I mean, from what I've read, the government became much more freaked out when King adopted a sort of anti-capitalist, anti-war stance. It's one thing to be like, hey, let's all get along, but so that we could have a united states of America going to war together. Black, white, brown, yellow, going to war together. But then he was like, hey, isn't it funny that we keep going to war against black, brown, yellow people? Is it cool for this nation to be a melting pot of sorts, an amalgamation of different cultures, going to other places and killing them? Brown people, yellow people. Is that cool? That's not cool. I mean, he'd be very upset at the state of things now. Not only the fact that we elected Donald Trump as president, but also the fact that we are still in a number of wars. We're in 2 wars. We've got the Afghanistan thing. That's still going on. Unclear as to what the hell's the goal of that. We killed Osama bin Laden. Why are we still... But we're still there. In Iraq is sort of... It's a quasi... We supposedly pulled out, but then ISIS came when we pulled out, so then we had to go back in. But now ISIS is defeated. Do we leave and let something else take over? Do we stay? What do we do? And not to mention North Africa, all along Africa, Central Africa, all over Africa, and of course Yemen, Syria, places that we didn't actually declare war on, but we have pretty sweet robots firing on people. Most of them are innocent, but it's worth it to get that 10% or 2% or whatever. The two, I don't care if you have to kill 100 people to get one terrorist. Some people say it's worth it. But is it? Is it? I mean, that seems to be shitty. Like if you were a family member of those 99 people who are innocent, just to get that one dude, could you be like, oh, I get it. It's all in the name of fighting terror. Like, could you, a person, you, a human being, be okay with your loved one being slaughtered in the name of some grander thing, like the war on terror? I mean, it's this kind of, it's a very, I don't want to say, feel like fascist is overused, but it's like a totalitarian, authoritarian kind of thing to do, right? It's just like, might is right, take them all, it's worth it. I sort of heard that phraseology from some reporter from Teen Vogue who's talking about the Me Too movement, actually. And she was saying, if an innocent man has to go to jail, that's a risk I'm willing to take for the correction that's taking place with the Me Too movement, right? She's talking about like if a man was accused of sexual assault or misconduct and he was sent to jail and then it was found out that it was all false, it was like, it was not real, like maybe his accuser was lying or something, if that ended up happening, that it was worth it. It was worth it for the greater good. But is it worth it for the greater good? Don't we have an underlying philosophy in this country that it's better for a guilty man to go free, right, than for an innocent man to go to jail? Or better 100 guilty men go free than one innocent man go to jail? Isn't that the standard of our justice system, our democracy, the fact that we have due process? Like, why have due process? Why not just be guilty first, throw him in jail, sort him out later? I mean, isn't that the kind of thinking that this journalist is talking about? And come to think of it, imagine if MLK was around during the Me Too movement. Do you think he could have made it all the way to the I Have a Dream speech? Do you think he would have even made it? I mean, he might have just been discredited, because King loved to slang that dick. Right? That's the one thing when the FBI started bugging him physically with electronic listening devices and bothering him with death threats and letters of said listening devices saying that, dude, we know all about the ladies you fuck. We got you on tape. Fucking, we got you on tape. Fucking many different women. You should just, there's even a letter that made the rounds on the internet that was like, hey, kill yourself, MLK. You're a dirty dude fucking around. You think you're a man of God? We're going to let these tapes out and you're going to be done. But they didn't. Back then, it was like, that was not something you did. Back then, it was like JFK, fucking Marilyn Monroe, and everybody knew, but nobody aired that dirty laundry, right? Of course, back then, slapping a woman was not a crime. Slapping a woman on the ass. If you slapped a woman on the ass, they would just be, at least you didn't slap her in the face, right? At least if you slapped her, at least you didn't punch her. I mean, that's, maybe I'm taking it a little too far, but these laws, like domestic violence laws, sexual assault laws, these are relatively new. I mean, they came after women's suffrage. You know what I mean? Like, before women can vote, there was no real, like, sexual harassment or sexual assault. These are all things that came out of the 60s, out of the 60s and 70s, the sexual revolution, the so-called bra burning time, right? Liberated females, the first wave of feminism, where women demanded equality, which is good. That's not a bad thing. Equal is good. We should be, that's the direction we're moving toward. But now we're in a state where we have people demanding the elimination of due process, guilty before proven innocent. And not to say, I'm not saying that Aziz Ansari didn't do it, or James Franco, or fucking Garrison Keillor. Garrison Keillor, who, by the way, just touched a woman's back and then apologized to her. And then she was like, it's cool. And then later on, she was like, hey, you know what? It's not cool. And then his Prairie Home Companion legacy is gone, erased. And honestly, I don't mind because I hated Prairie Home Companion. Hate is a strong word, but I saw the movie and I felt like I was forced to watch it. And I was just like, what is this bullshit? What am I watching? What is this? People like this? They did, but not enough to keep him around after he was accused of sexual misconduct. And by misconduct, we don't mean it's not rapey. It wasn't rapey or jerky. No dicks involved. It was just him touching the bare back of a woman accidentally. Maybe I have my facts wrong. I don't know. Correct me on this. But from what I looked up, his is the craziest because it was like, he didn't even, the guy is such a... It'd be one thing if it's like Garrison Keillor is a fucking rapist and he's going around raping everybody, but he wasn't raping anyone. And here I am. Okay, you're gonna be like, Rogin, that's not, you can't just be like, sexual assault is sexual assault and we gotta believe her. Hashtag. And I get it, man, but just, it's a slippery slope. You take away due process, you take away the delineation between a crime and a thought, right? You turn thoughts into crimes, you turn feelings into the metric of how to judge a person on their actions as opposed to did they actually do something. It's a slippery slope is all I'm saying. Martin Luther King was alive during the Me Too movement. He would have been taken down before he could do anything. But could there be a Me Too movement without Martin Luther King? Here we are in a quandary. Who's to say? Who's to say, really? I just know that by today's standards, he was a lecherous man. He was a lecherous man. But did he actually, he didn't Cosby anybody, though, right? Like MLK, to me, I would love to believe that he was actually just a player. And people, and the ladies love, and he would just be like, free at last. He'd be like, do it for me, Martin. He'd be like, free at last. Okay, this is disrespectful on many levels to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I apologize for that, but I don't apologize for his sexual indiscretions because, man, that dude was on the road getting death threats on the daily, trying to fight for our fucking rights, fight for civil rights, fight for everybody, fighting for people who weren't even born yet, and he can't have a little trim on the side. He can't just get a little sweetness, a little sugar on the side from the ladies who are willing to give it to him. All manner of ladies, white ladies, black ladies, brown ladies, yellow ladies, just like his dream. I don't think he discriminated. Do you think so? I think Malcolm X discriminated. Well, Malcolm X, I don't think really fucked anybody. He was a pious gentleman. He was a pious man. I believe he didn't fuck around. At least they would have had tape on it because they were following him around too. But MLK, ooh, he loved a pussy. Okay. All right, that's a good note to end on there. All right, what else am I doing? Yeah, I'm reading this book called The Gulag Archipelago. It's kind of a slog. It's a slog because it's about a slog. It's about a gulag, gulag slog. It's about Soviet prison camps. In the Stalinist era. This guy Alexander Solzhenitsyn wrote this book. Basically about his own experience there, about other people's experiences there, about the thing in general. And I heard of this book through Jordan Peterson, who I've been getting into. I think Jordan Peterson is totally worth your listen if you have not already. The thing I like about Jordan Peterson is sort of his, his use of he sort of explains human psychology through mythic structures, archetypical structures that are found in texts like the Bible or whatever. So a lot of people like Sam Harris, like the new atheist, Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, they say, God, it's over. Religion's over. Religion is a bad idea. Look at Islam. Terrible idea. Let's just move away from religion. It's fucking killing us all. Jordan Peterson says, no, that's not true. Religion is very valuable because it's basically the way we went forward without science back in the day, unconscious. We describe the unconsciousness through it. We describe the birth of consciousness through it. We describe all manner of things that we're using science to try to figure out now. Back then, we used stories. We still needed a way to kind of talk about these things that are happening. the idea of birth, the idea of growing into an adult, the idea of usurping your father or your mother, all these things, these like in the Greek myths, it's a common thing for the son to overthrow the father, like, Uranus overthrew Cronus, right? And Zeus overthrew Uranus, and it's a lot of slicing off their balls, a lot of sickles and junk, a lot of slamming your blade into the junk of your dad, and now you're the dad, Jordan Peterson says that's basically like an encapsulation of the unconscious, or an encapsulation of like shit Freud was talking about, in the early 20th century, thousands and thousands of years ago. These fuckers were kind of living it out, through these myths, what we call myths now, and including the Bible. And the Bible itself is filled with stories that could be basically metaphors for consciousness, which is cool. So so Gulag Archipelago. The thing about Gulag Archipelago is that it's a look into the Soviet Gulag system and the evils that we are all capable of, or how, in fact, institutions can bring out this evil by making them banal. You think about the Nazis. Think about how, it wasn't like the Nazis were like, hey, we are evil Nazis. A terrible accent. That was almost French. But they're not like, you will go to the concentration camp. Okay, even worse accent. I should be put in a concentration camp for that accent. Oh my God. It's not like the Nazis were like, hey, we're all evil. Let's do evil thing. No, it was all like, this is the law now. It's orderly. This is what we do. We exterminate people, not with anger, not by like, but with cold precision. It's precise. It's precision. Everybody was expected to do it. Most people would be like, I would never be a Nazi, man. That's evil. I would never do it. But the thing is, you don't, if you were there, you probably would have. All of us, I would have. All of us, we would have, because we're all capable of the greatest evil through banality. I mean, right now, while I'm talking to you through this machine here, it flies through the air, it goes into computers, and all these computers are made with metals mined by tiny children. And we did that. I may have ranted about this last episode, so I'm not going to go into it. But you know what I mean? Like, the evil is there, but it isn't like we're consciously all committing the evil. The evil is just inherent in the system, the suffering. We call it evil. Some people will be like, maybe there is no evil. Maybe that's just the way things are. That's just the way it is, right? Maybe that's just the way it is. Yeah, the suffering of children. That's just the way it is. We got to have these phones, so kids got to suffer. That's just how it is, right? That's the banality of evil, right? We just accept it. It's just part of things. It's factory farming. If you don't want to think about kids suffering, let's think about all the animals that suffer because you like to eat meat. I love to eat meat. Animals suffer because of that. Not even that. Let's just think about if you like vegetables, all the things that suffer, the animals that suffer, whether because they're cut up by harvesting combines, or whether because of all the resources that are used to create these agricultures have to, if you got to grow a shitload of corn, you got to take away space from animals that would have used that space. You're effectively creating death so that you can have life. Even if you're not directly causing that death, you're taking the resources away. Not only that, pollution. Agriculture leads to pollution. Crazy pollution. No one can eat that shit anymore. No one can grow stuff there anymore. Nothing lives. There's poisons because of pesticides. There's death is inherent to the life that we have. And, that's just on the basic level of like ingesting things. Like on the sort of larger level of society, death, evil, bombing children in Yemen. Like this is all just part and parcel of what we call modern society. In order to have this cool shit, these crazy computers, the headphones in your head, there's a cost to all of this. As an individual, you don't really see it or feel it because all you do is pay money. All I do is pay a couple bucks to eat a burger, or pay some money to, put up this podcast. It's just a little bit of money from me. But when you zoom out and multiply that by millions and millions, what you see is a goddamn fucking carnage machine. You know what I mean? Like a meat grinder. So anyway, Gulag Archipelago. It's a book I'm reading. I don't have much to say about it because like I said, it's a slog. I barely got. I think I fell asleep reading the first paragraph. Yeah, But I'm gonna get through it, and it might feel like I'm in a gulag to do it. And then after I've read it, maybe I'll talk about it. I don't know. All right. I have a little list of. I decided to be organized, and the first time I said organized, I'm gonna be honest, that was not my intent, and then I decided to own it and say organized, but now I realize that I kind of stumbled through it because organized, of course, the reference to the great movie Taxi Driver, directed by Martin Scorsese. One of these days I'm going to get organized, right? That's anyway, cryptocurrency, that's sort of on my mind now. Cryptocurrency, what is it? Bitcoin, you probably heard of Bitcoin. What is it? I don't know, man. Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, Ripple, Stellar. These are all random words that have come up. They're all cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency. Why are they crypto? Because the transactions are encrypted. You can be anonymous. You can use, but that's why Bitcoin got so huge on the dark web for drugs, because it's anonymous. No one can track where these transactions are coming from. I have used Bitcoin to purchase drugs on said internet. I actually haven't gone through the dark web because it's a lot of work, and I haven't really purchased any illegal drugs per se. In fact, I haven't purchased any drugs at all. They are research chemicals that are not for human consumption, and I did not consume them as a human. But they're out there. But Bitcoin is also CBD companies. CBD, totally illegal, all 50 states. It's, of course, the cannabidol that is derived from hemp, industrial hemp, not weed that's illegal in most states. Not, of course, the one I'm in, but in most. But CBDs, the medicinal part of the marijuana that doesn't get you high, but rather gives you the anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, antidepressant, anti-seizure. These are all the qualities of CBDs. If anything, I bet CBDs could help with my intraocular pressure. I bet that instead of having to get high every day, I probably could just use CBDs to help relieve the intraocular pressure that, I experience. It could relieve, when I work out. It could help, instead of smoking weed, I could vape some CBDs and recover a little better, a little faster without having to take Advil, without having to take a leave, and that shit is bad for you. They have studies now where it's like, if you take ibuprofen all the time, it fucks your heart up. It's really bad for you. A leave tears up your stomach linings. You can develop ulcers. I did. After I popped my knee, I started taking a leave every day, and I started developing ulcers, started pooping blood. It's terrible. It's bad for you. That shit is killing you. That shit kills you, totally legal over the counter. You could pop a whole bottle and just disintegrate your liver if you wanted. Meanwhile, I got to use Bitcoin to buy CBDs. I mean, I don't have to use Bitcoin. I could have used regular money. I just had some Bitcoin and figured I'll buy some CBDs. Isn't this interesting? But anyway, cryptocurrency. So Warren Buffett came out and said Bitcoin's it's a bubble. It's gonna burst. Right now, Bitcoin's at like 13 grand. A week ago or so, it was at 17 grand. Right? There was a huge downward push on the price because there was a rumor that came out that South Korea was going to ban all cryptocurrencies, and then everybody was like, sell. And that's the big problem with cryptocurrency, right, is that it's a volatile market. The bits of news can just affect the price of anything, as people will just sell. Or the fact that a person can just sell a bunch of it and cause a panic can create price fluctuations, or just saying stuff. Warren Buffett saying it's a bubble, or Jamie Dimon, the head of Chase Bank, saying I don't believe in it, and then he came out later and was like, I believe in it. I'm sorry. He probably made a killing off of saying I don't believe in it, right? That's what's going on. So is it a safe bet? Is it a safe place to put your money? No, it's not safe. It's not safe. Nothing is safe. Even the US dollar, even though it feels safe as fuck, it could collapse. Look who's running the fucking, look who's running the fucking shit. The shit could collapse at any moment. But we put our faith in it because we have to, because that's how the economy runs, on faith, on credit. And really, if you think about it, fucking Wall Street, the stock market, that's just all a big old confidence game, right? That's just if the same old shit can happen. If anybody is like, hey, yo, this is going to go down with Intel or whatever, then Intel stock could plummet. Intel, by the way, who I think the head of Intel sold a bunch of shares of Intel before the news came out that there was a massive flaw in Intel chips. Massive flaw. What the fuck is it called? Spectre, Meltdown. These are huge bugs that they found that are inside the CPUs of computers. It's not like flaws that they found in your operating system like Mac or PC or whatever. It's actually in the fucking chips on the motherboard, right? So they can bypass all that shit. I don't even really know what it does, but it's bad, man. It's bad. Just look it up. Meltdown, Spectre. See if there's update your shit. Make sure you can find, be protected. But as of now, I think everybody's vulnerable. I think that's just cat's out of the bag. From what I have gathered, Meltdown allows, whoever can exploit that flaw to basically record everything you're doing without you even knowing. Without you knowing everything. You can wipe your hard drive. None of it matters. Hard drive, any of that stuff. It doesn't matter because it's a hardware level thing. I don't want to scare you. I mean, I don't want to freak you out or anything, but I'm just saying, these things are worth looking into. And, obviously most people are not at the level where they have to be worried that they're being spied on and they're not doing stuff. But some people are. Some people are doing maybe bad things. Maybe they're selling children on the dark web. I don't know. Fuck them up. Round them up, I say. But other people are trying to whistleblow or take down corruption, things like that. And those people are just as vulnerable. And if people like, the Me Too lady who said, what's an innocent man going to jail? That's worth it for the system. That's worth it for the changes that are coming. That sort of totalitarian due process throwing out kind of attitude. This Meltdown shit, that's perfect, right? You just start lumping freedom fighters and fucking pedophiles together. You can equate them. You could equate people. You can equate people who dissent against, like if someone was like, hey, maybe this whole Me Too thing, we should slow it down a little or at least take a good look. You could be branded, a traitor. You could be branded a collaborator, right? That's how all this shit starts. It's how people get rounded up into gulags in the first place, right? Because you let the powers that be, you let culture and the powers that be go down this slippery slope of totalitarianism where there's no due process, no rule of law anymore. Now it's just somebody who's in power gets to decide who gets to go to jail. And that brings me to my final point, recreational marijuana. So California just legalized marijuana. I mean, it legalized last year, but January 1st was when the first sales of recreational marijuana went on sale. Not the best sentence there, but the recreational weed's on sale. I see it. It's right in West Hollywood. There's a bunch of stores. There's lines. People are lining up. And to me, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Now on Facebook, which I don't know why I'm on there, but on Facebook, I see a lot of my quote unquote friends complaining about a couple things. First of all, they're complaining or they're laughing at the people. Look at those fools in line when all they could have done was get a medical card like me. And then like, hey, are these taxes going to affect me? Are these taxes going to affect me? Because if so, I'm going back to the street, right? Okay, sure, that's a great point. Valid point. If you're a selfish son of a bitch, right? If you're a selfish motherfucker who doesn't care that millions of people have gone to jail already and people have died in jail, right? For what? For possession, for smoking a joint, for not being able to do the thing that people are doing right now, lining up to buy weed legally. It's more important for you to have a shorter line and more important for you to pay a little less money than it is for these innocent people to go free and not for future people to go free. And by the way, if you go to the street and start buying from dealers, guess what? Those dudes can go to jail. Those people can go to jail, all right? And that's fine because you would rather pay less. You'd rather pay less money than get tax money for fucking schools and building up infrastructure and releasing motherfuckers from jail that should have been released 20 years ago for having a fucking joint in their pocket? Like, you get into jail, sure, for possession. What if you had 3 strikes? You could be in there for life. What if you were just growing marijuana for yourself, but they charge you with distribution? You're fucking in the can now. Now you got to fucking join the fucking white power gang to survive. And now you got Nazi fucking swastika tattoos all over your fucking body just because weed was illegal. And here's this guy saying, I don't want to pay taxes on the weed. I'm going back to the street. I'm going back to the illegal black market so more people can go to jail and suffer and die just so that I can get high for a little less money. Fuck you. That's what I say. Fuck you, dude. You're just complaining about that shit. Fucking selfish? Fuck. And this is exactly, yeah. And complain about it on your phone, huh? Your phone, that little fucking Yao Li and Mutombo built it. Oh, that was so bad. But you know what I'm saying? Little African kids, Chinese kids are fucking dying, getting their arms sliced off in machines and shit. So you can have your little fucking phone and you're complaining about weed being overpriced because you want to smoke it for less money and you don't give a fuck about all those people rotting in jail just for you. You fucking complaining ass bitch. All right, sorry. That seemed like it was actually directed at somebody, but kind of was, but at the same time, it's not. A lot of people we're in a selfish fucking time, aren't we? This is selfish as fuck. We have so much shit. We have so much shit that we could be doing to save the planet. We have so much shit that we have to make things better, to make life better. We could be feeding every single motherfucker on this planet right now. Easily. That's not like out of our reach. It's just nobody wants to. It's a distribution problem. It's a will problem, but it's not a technological problem. Like, we have enough food to feed everybody. It's just not marketable, right? And that's the kind of society we fucking live in when everything is for profit. And then everybody down to the individual is a greedy little son of a bitch who can't fucking see that paying a little extra money actually makes the world better. Not just because of tax revenue, but because of the implications of what it means to have something be legal and not legal, right? So people are in jail, cages, mostly black and brown people, by the way, just like our wars. In a fucking cage, okay? They're in a cage because we decided, for some reason, to make this plant illegal, right? And so many people fucking smoked or dealt this plant that there were enough people to throw in jail to keep a giant prison industrial complex running. Because if weed became legalized across the board and you had to let all those motherfuckers out, our jails would empty, right? Our jails would empty. And all those fuckers are basically nonviolent drug offenders. Drug offenders because a crime was created, right? If they're really sick, if they're really drug addicts and they need help, then don't put them in jail. Freaking help them. Get them to a hospital, get them to a doctor, get them to a psychologist. And by the way, if it's just weed, they probably don't need help. And now they have CBDs. At least if they weren't in jail, your fucking dumbass wants to keep him there because you want to smoke more weed for less money. All right. I just went off there. It's the lack of smoking weed that's got me really upset about people who want to smoke weed for less money and complain about it. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for listening, guys. It's I hate to end on a note like that, but that's silly. Come on, guys. Look. Things are great. I mean, sure, it seems like, oh my God, Trump's president and the climate change and the things and nuclear war and anything can happen, but we're on the brink of death, all of us, all the time. And we've always been, right? The Cuban Missile Crisis, right? We owes a hole in the ozone layer. We fucking Native Americans fucking slaughtering us. Like, it's always been crazy, man. Tell me a time when it wasn't crazy. Tell me a time when it wasn't fucked up. Ladies, tell me a time. When was it great? 100 years ago when women couldn't vote? Before that, when black people couldn't vote? When they were slaves? When fucking Chinese people were carrying dynamite into holes in rocks to fucking blow up tunnels for the fucking Trans-Pacific Railroad or whatever the fuck? When was it great? When you would fucking get a blister on your foot and die from gangrene because there was no medical services nearby or no fucking anesthetic or no, antibiotics. When was it great? It's fucking great now. It's great right now. We've got the whole world at our fingertips. We got these little devices that's got all. We don't even need encyclopedias anymore. All right, and it's got a camera, and you can masturbate to it. We're in a wonderful time. So for me, I am grateful that I'm alive now. I really am. Even though there's all this news, all this fucking hubbub about this and that and Trump and the wars and this and that, and that's just, you know why? You know why the noise is tilted to the negative? Because if it bleeds, it leads. And if it leads, cha-ching, right? It's profit. Again, we're down to this whole for-profit driven thing that makes us feel like reality is a nightmare when in fact we're living in one of the least violent times ever. I mean, not all of us. If you're listening to this, probably, unless you're one of those poor Chinese and African kids who are working in mines and factories to make our phones, and you get to listen to this podcast, that's pretty sweet too. I hope I get those sweet stats, those sweet download stats. All right. Okay, guys, speaking of download stats, subscribe to my web. Subscribe. Are you subscribed? Please subscribe. Go to iTunes. You can look up the Rogin Kimcast. Subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at RoginKim. I don't know. Write me a nice note. Rogin.kim@gmail.com. Write me a nice note. Whatever. I'd love to hear from you. Send me some Bitcoin. So you can send it to 1Z54C6C493. No, I'm just kidding. That's a little cryptocurrency joke for you people in the know about crypto. Okay. All right, guys. I think it's been a good run, this one. I mean, I'm not saying it's been a good run like I'm going to kill myself. I mean, I think this was a good episode. I had a little list. I hit all my things, trying to end it on a positive note. We're all doing great. Dude, if you're alive, you got all your fingers and toes. You're not dealing with some debilitating shit. You can eat. Life is good, man. Hug your loved ones. Get a dog. Just do something. Smoke some weed. Smoke some recreational legal marijuana in California. Pay your taxes. Pay the tax on it. You know why? Because the kids benefit. It's for the children. Smoking weed for the kids. All right? Do it for the children, guys. All right, guys. Until next time. Thank you for listening.